Good morning and welcome to the spring commencement ceremonies of Baylor University School of Law. We're so glad you're here to join us in this day of celebration and memory. To begin our celebration this morning, I call upon Alexandra Burke, a member of the graduating class, to deliver the invocation. Alexandra.
Please bow your heads with me as I pray. A man's heart plans his way, but the Lord determines his steps. Proverbs 16:9. Father, thank you for making our plans a reality today. 3 years ago, we stepped into Baylor Law with plans to walk across this stage at the end of it all, but you are the one who carried each of us to this moment. You determined our steps. Whether we knew it or not, you were with us through every hardship and through every success. You were there when we took our first law school exams, racked with anxiety because we were all unsure if we could do this. And in the same way, you were there as we trudged through practice court, a program that pushed us beyond our limits. Most importantly, you will be there no matter what unfolds after this chapter of our lives comes to a close. And we give you great praise as we think about all that you have done and will do for us. Lord, of this I am certain, you are faithful in every season of life. And Father, I want to lift my friends and classmates up to you in this moment, asking that you will provide peace and confidence as they step into whatever is next in their lives. For those facing fears of loneliness in a new city, remind them of your steadfast companionship. For those facing anxiety about being inadequate to take on their first job, remind them that wisdom and strength comes from your hand. For those wondering how they will carry the weight of the newfound responsibilities of adulthood, remind them that they can cast their cares upon you. Father, bless these wonderful people and whatever they endeavor to do with their lives. I trust you to be faithful to them, just as you have always been faithful to me. In Jesus' name, amen.
Good morning. Please be seated. Thank you, Alexandra. Alexandra was chosen by her classmates to deliver the invocation. It's an honor, Alexandra. Welcome to the spring commencement ceremonies of Baylor Law School. We have a large class today, 74. And as Alexandra alluded to in her prayer in the invocation, these students came to us 3 years ago. They were bright college graduates. Some had been in other avocations. Some were second career. But over the past 3 years, they have been through a program that has been lauded widely for its rigor and for its focus in taking those students who come at orientation and over the course of a 3-year period, turning them into Baylor lawyers. In class, for the benefit of the family and friends, you know this lesson. When we type Baylor lawyer or when we write Baylor lawyer, what do? Capital B, capital L, and the reason is it's not a descriptor, it is a brand. Baylor lawyers have an attitude. We stick together. We have been tested by the fire. Today we are celebrating these graduates, but graduates, my word to you is this. You deserve it. You are to celebrate yourself today. You have every reason to be very proud of the accomplishments, not just over the past 3 years, but also your accomplishments throughout your educational journey that has brought you to this point. However, we all know we don't do it by ourselves. We do it by the grace of God, and also so important for us to note here at the outset, you have done this because you have been surrounded by family and friends and loved ones who have nurtured you since you were born. And I'm looking around the sanctuary, the balcony is filled. It's those people who have brought you here. So it's very fitting as we begin our ceremony today for you to rise, turn around, and thank the moms, the dads, the aunts, the uncles, the husbands, the wives, the nephews, the nieces, the friends, all those who have surrounded you in love and who have nurtured you on this long journey to today. In the program, you'll note that the sentiments of the class are inserted, and you cannot help but take note that virtually every sentiment is directed at those whom you have just honored by thanking them for bringing you to this point, family, friends, and loved ones. Baylor Law School is a school that is a faith mission institution. We take that seriously. Our faith mission is reified through service. And I look across this class, they have all been, as they have gone through the program, understanding and learning and preparing themselves for service. At Baylor Law School, at orientation, I always remind the students that there are two dimensions in life, a vertical dimension, which is to glorify God, and a horizontal dimension, which is to serve His kingdom, to serve His people. These graduates get it. Baylor Law School is well known for its service theme and programming. Our pro bono and public service programming has won, over the last 7 or 8 years, 7 awards and recognitions from the Texas Access to Justice Commission, from the State Bar of Texas, and from the ABA. In 2015, Baylor Law School received the highest pro bono award given by the ABA. It had been at that point given for 31 years, since 1984. Baylor Law School was only the 3rd law school in the nation to ever receive it. And that's out of 204 law schools. So these are the students who have worked in those clinics. These are the students who have learned about the joy and the satisfaction of reaching out to help those who cannot help themselves. And I want you now to be applauded by us. This is only the beginning of a life and career of service for each of you as a Baylor lawyer. At every commencement at Baylor Law School, we take note of a symbiosis, a connect, a mutual support that is in place between our armed forces and the legal profession. It's a connect that's not often observed, virtually never. But here is how the armed forces of our nation and the legal profession work together. We, as members of the legal profession, are, of course, responsible for the rule of law. The rule of law in our nation would not be possible but for the protection and security that is afforded to us by our armed forces around the world, 24/7, 365 days a year. Our profession could not do what we are called to do in service. And so we begin every ceremony by taking note of all of those in the class. We have 3 members of our class today, you may see, that are in uniform. But we take note of everyone who is gathered here this day who has been in the service, whether you are active, reserve, or retired. Please rise now to receive our appreciation. You are all the heroes. We live in a culture and a nation, unfortunately, in which we glorify those who are celebrities as our heroes. They are not the heroes at all. The heroes are the folks that we have just honored. The stage party with me this morning. These are the people that make it happen, along with my faculty and staff colleagues, mostly located over here to the left. Baylor Law School. At the end of today's ceremony, we will be adjourning to the Law Center. It's beautiful. We will be on the back patio. Your graduate will be able to take you through, if they have not already, shown you the classrooms and the courtrooms where they have plied their craft over the past 3 years. But Baylor Law School is not the building. Baylor Law School is what happens in our classrooms, in our courtrooms, and in faculty offices, as the students are guided, mentored, and educated and trained by our faculty. And so I want now for us to appreciate what they have done in developing and molding these graduates before us today. All of my faculty and staff colleagues, please rise for our appreciation. Somewhere in the sanctuary, I can't put my eye on him, but we have David Gwynn, who is now in the 52nd year of teaching at the law school. We call him the Godfather. Where are you, Godfather? 52 years, think about that. We believe that approximately 7,000 Baylor lawyers have sat in David Wynn's classes. Joining us today on the stage are my faculty colleagues, Jerry Powell, Jim Wren, and Leah Teague. And I'll introduce Professor Fusilier in just a moment. In the program, we have biographies. I'm not going to tarry then to explain to you who these folks are. The class know them very well. They need no more explanation. But for each of them, I'll simply note with Jerry Powell, Professor Jerry Powell, master teacher with Professor Jim Wren, they lead these students through our gemstone, the practice court program in the third year. How many of you have heard practice court by chance? It's our gemstone. At Baylor Law School, unlike at other law schools, when you get to your third year elsewhere, you're just kind of floating over the tarmac. At Baylor Law School, we turn up the flame, the torch full blow in the third year. That's when you're tested. Professor Powell and Professor Wren, you belong here. These students have selected you to be here because you have had an impact on their lives, and I want to applaud you. Associate Dean Leah Teague. Leah, stand up. We have worked together now. We've worked together in the Dean's Suite for 27 years. Every day, she gives guidance to these students, mentoring academically, professionally, and otherwise. I always say, and I'll never tire of saying it, I love her like a sister, and she makes things happen for you, our students. Rachel Kane is the highest ranking student in our class. Rachel, we graduate Baylor lawyers 4 times a year, and we're always proud of every highest ranking student. But you need to take this away with a special pride because this is one of the largest classes we've ever had. We've had classes in the past as small as even 6 or 7. And yes, there's a highest ranking student in a class of 6 or 7. But you need on your CV from now on to note that you were in one of the largest classes ever. Number 1, Rachel Kane. Rachel?
When I was in the process of applying to law school, I came across an idea that really resonated with me. A lawyer's job is to meet people in their crisis and get down in the trenches with them and help them fight their way through it. I liked that image because it emphasized aspects of the legal profession that reflect the gospel, service and self-sacrifice, which were some of the same reasons that I felt like God was calling me to be a lawyer. So when I walked through the doors of Baylor Law School on my first day of classes 1L year, that was the goal that I had in mind, to be that lawyer, the one who sees people in their crisis and walks with them through to the other side. What I didn't know walking in that day is that the Baylor community would do the same thing for me when my own crisis came along. I'd almost finished my first year of law school, a year that hundreds of pages of reading aside, I had honestly really loved. But exactly a week before our first 3Q final exam, everything changed. I got a call from my roommate's mom. I was at a friend's house one night. She called me. She asked me if I would go home and check on her daughter. She hadn't heard from her, and she was concerned. Knowing that I had spoken with my roommate just a few hours ago, I agreed, assuming that she was just in the shower or asleep. But when I got home, I found instead that my roommate had committed suicide. The days and weeks that followed were some of the hardest of my life. And to be completely honest, I try my best not to think too much about them. But what I do think about is the way that the Baylor community supported me during that time. I think about a friend from my law school class who was by my side within minutes that night and hasn't left it since. I think about the Baylor chaplain, Dr. Burt Burleson, who got out of bed in the middle of the night to call me and offer to help in any way he could. I think about Dean Tobin, who called me the next day to assure me that I had his full support, and who met with me later that week to see how I was doing and connect me with every possible resource. I think about my professors, who emailed me offering their prayers and condolences. And I think about my classmates, the few who knew at the time, who went out of their way to show me how much they cared. The Baylor family, this Baylor family, met me in my crisis and carried me through to the other side. And for that, I will be forever grateful. In the 2 years that have passed since that night, I've been humbled again and again by the Lord's provision in my life through Baylor Law School. I have no memory of my final exams from that quarter. I could barely put one foot in front of the other, but that was the quarter where I got my first high A on final exam. That summer, I was terrified to go and be alone in Dallas for my internship, and the Lord provided a Baylor classmate who needed a place to live. At that internship, I told my story to a Baylor lawyer who listened and encouraged me and ended up mentoring me through the clerkship application process. When I look back on that time in my life, there's not a doubt in my mind that it's the Lord who opened those doors, because I didn't have the strength. If I could give my classmates one piece of advice today, it would be not to lose sight of what it means to be a lawyer. When things get hard professionally, don't forget what your job is. To fight for your client not because it's fun or lucrative or because you're obligated to, but because you're committed to seeing them through their crisis, win or lose. And when things get hard personally, don't forget who your people are. The Baylor lawyers seated on your right and on your left, who are ready and willing to get down in the trenches with you to fight your way out. To the Baylor Law faculty and staff, thank you for sharing your passion for the profession and for teaching us to be prepared, confident, and enduring. To the friends and families that are here today, thank you for loving us well, for supporting us, and for forgiving us when we forgot to call you back during practice court. And to my classmates, thank you for being the most hardworking, kindest, most encouraging group of people I could have asked for to walk through law school with. I wish you all the best, and I can't wait to see the incredible things you accomplish. Thank you.
Rachel, beautiful, moving, and spot on about what it means to be a Baylor lawyer and how we support and serve others. Beautiful. Our speaker today, chosen by the class, is Professor Bridget Fusilier. Professor Fusilier sees the students as they arrive at Baylor Law School in the property class and other later on courses that turn upon Texas titles and so forth. Professor Fusilier has the wonderful ability to demand the respect of students. They want to perform for her. They want to reach the bar that she has set. It's a high bar. She is short of stature, and the bar is far higher than Professor Fusilier. Professor Fusilier, as she went through Baylor Law School, she graduated from Lamar University. As she went through Baylor Law School, she burned up the track, advocacy, academics, everything. She was a complete standout, and we kept our eye on her as her career developed, as she practiced at Mahaffey Weber, a large firm in Beaumont, Texas. Professor Fusilier several years ago joined the faculty. She has been a wonderful classroom teacher. She has been prolific in her scholarship. But I want to pull out something here. She is a servant with a capital S. I've already referenced our pro bono and public service program. It's extensive. It's been much lauded. There are aspects of our program that have especially stood out. One of them is Adoption Day that unfolds each year in November. Adoption Day is a beautiful day in which this past year, for instance, 33 children were adopted. Professor Fusilier, along with the students, turned the classroom wing of the Law Center into a fantasy land. Every Adoption Day has a theme. This year it was Star Wars, or The Family Awakens. And as you walk into the Law Center on Adoption Day, you see booths at which the children waiting to go into our courtroom to be adopted by their new parents are playing and enjoying. There's lots of food, there's much merriment. It is an atmosphere in and of itself. It takes a lot of work. The creativity in it is endless. That's not all, though. All year long, Professor Fusilier is devoted in particular to our Veterans Clinic. We honored our veterans and our active armed forces at the beginning of our ceremony today for the reasons that I shared. That honoring of our veterans continues at Baylor Law School in our programming. We have several clinics, but the Veterans Clinic is by far the largest and the most active and has certainly been lauded. Last June, Professor Fusilier received a very prestigious award from the State Bar of Texas for her work with veterans. Her husband, Paul, is a veteran, and that is one reason that many years ago, Bridget stepped out to make sure that we all, on an ongoing basis, are aware of the needs of our veterans. So often, the homecomings from deployments can be so happy as we see them on the evening news, but then there are problems that almost inevitably follow that we don't pay that much attention to. Professor Fusilier pays attention. She knows, she serves. Class, you've done well. You've selected a colleague whom we all love, a classroom teacher who has mentored and guided you. Professor Fusilier was selected as outstanding university professor for her teaching a few years back. She does it all. And Professor Fusilier, I now call upon you for your remarks.
Good morning. I must say that when I received the email from Dean Tobin a few weeks back saying that I was going to be asked to be the graduation speaker, I just stepped off the elevator on the third floor and I was doing my morning task of trying to clear out all the junk in my inbox on my phone as I walk through the third floor and tell everybody good morning. And the message was very brief and to the point. It read, "Bridget, will you accept the invitation of the graduating 3Ls to be the speaker at their spring commencement ceremonies on Saturday, April 28th? I said something that cannot be repeated here, loud enough for Karen to call from her office and ask if I was okay. And I said, yes, I'm fine. I was shocked and surprised, but definitely okay. I got to my office, and then the panic set in. It's like, I can't exactly bring my bundle of sticks and my Fisher-Price farm to graduation. And I thought, well, can I? But I opted against that. And I decided I was going to let this kind of percolate and sit for a while. And when inspiration came, I would sit down and think about my speech, because I'd only done this one time before. So I decided during spring break, I was getting rest, I was home with my family, and kind of a moment struck me, and I said, okay, you've done this before. You researched graduation speeches, of course, so go find those notes. So I pulled out the folder, and they were still somewhat helpful. The first article that I had found said, "Pity the poor commencement speaker, for his is a doomed assignment. He is the one person standing between impatient graduates and the diplomas that they have worked years to earn. Their audience is wearing sweaty polyester robes and ridiculous hats and is also often terribly hungover. This was not particularly comforting. However, there was a second one that I had kept, and it gave some very direct practical advice, which I hope I have incorporated into the speech this morning. And the first is honor your occasion. Your target audience is the graduates and no one else. The second, probably the most important on the list, keep it under 18 minutes. And that I plan to do. Be utterly yourself. Feel it in your heart more than your head. Startle them and speak slowly and well. Over the past 12 years of being here at Baylor, I've heard some great graduation speeches. And I started thinking about all the themes and messages that ran throughout them, the wisdom that was imparted, and I grew more anxious. Could I measure up to that? But then I realized part of the advice is to be utterly yourself and feel it in your heart more than your head. So I decided that this speech should reflect how I feel about all of you, this group specifically. During these years, I have gotten to know you. I've taught you in the classroom. I've given you advice in my office, sitting on the couch, sometimes with a box of Kleenex. I've worked with you on projects, and I feel like you are my adopted law school children. And I will miss you all, and I will be cheering for you along your journey. So believe me when I say that these words today do come from my heart. In just a few months, it will actually be 20 years since I was sitting in the same spot you are in now. I graduated from Baylor Law School on August 1st, 1998. My family was here to cheer me on, and I felt, as you do now, a great sense of pride and accomplishment. But I also felt a sense of obligation and stress and worry. Was I ready? Could I really do what school had prepared me to do? I can tell you now, all these years later, I was, and so are you. You may recall, on the very first day we met, I read a story to you at orientation. I read my favorite book, The Giving Tree. And I was preparing for today. I thought the perfect ending to this 3-year journey together would be another of my favorite books. Oh, the places you'll go. Going to see if the family can follow along as we read, so everybody can see it. It's not coming up. Are we here now? If not, I have my book with me, for just in case. So. So family, I'm sorry, you're not going to get to see it very well, but here we go with Oh, the Places You'll Go by Dr. Seuss. Congratulations, today is your day. You're off to great places, you're off and away. You have brains in your head, you have feet in your shoes. You can steer yourself any direction you choose. You're on your own, and you know what you know, and you are the guy who'll decide where to go. You'll look up and down streets, look them over with care. About some you will say, I don't choose to go there. With your head full of brains and your shoes full of feet, you're too smart to go down any not-so-good street. And you may not find any you'll want to go down. In that case, of course, you'll head straight out of town. It's opener there in the wide open air. Out there, things can happen, and frequently do, to people as brainy and footsy as you. And when things start to happen, don't worry, don't stew. Just go right along. You'll start happening too. Oh, the places you'll go. You'll be on your way up. You'll be seeing great sights. You'll join the high flyers who soar to high heights. You won't lag behind because you'll have the speed. You'll pass the whole gang and you'll soon take the lead. Wherever you fly, you'll be the best of the best. Wherever you go, you will top all the rest. Except when you don't, because sometimes you won't. I'm sorry to say so, but sadly it's true that bang-ups and hang-ups can happen to you. You can get all hung up in a prickly perch, and your gang will fly on, and you'll be left in a lurch. You'll come down from the lurch with an unpleasant bump, and the chances are then you'll be in a slump. And when you're in a slump, you're not in for much fun. Unslumping yourself is not easily done. You will come to a place where the streets are not marked. Some windows are lighted, but mostly they're dark. A place you could sprain both your elbow and chin. Do you dare to stay out? Do you dare to go in? How much can you lose? How much can you win? And if you go in, should you turn left or right? Or right and 3/4, or maybe not quite? Or go around back and sneak in from behind? Simple it's not, I'm afraid you will find, for a mind maker upper to make up his mind. You can get so confused that you'll start into race down long wiggled roads at a breaknecking pace and grind on for miles across weirdish wild space, headed I fear towards a most useless place, the waiting place. For people just waiting for a train to go, or a bus to come, or a plane to go, or the mail to come, or the rain to go, or the phone to ring, or the snow to snow, or waiting around for a yes or a no, or waiting for their hair to grow. Everyone is just waiting. Waiting for fish to bite, or waiting for wind to fly a kite, or waiting around for Friday night, or waiting perhaps for their Uncle Jake, or a pot to boil, or a better break, or a string of pearls, or a pair of pants, or a wig with curls, or another chance. Everyone is just waiting. No, that's not for you. Somehow you'll escape, and that waiting and staying, you'll find the bright places where boom bands are playing. With banner flip-flapping, once more you'll ride high, ready for anything under the sky. Ready because you're that kind of guy. Oh, the places you go, though there is fun to be done, there are points to be scored, there are games to be won. And the magical things you can do with that ball will make you the winningest winner of all. Fame, you'll be famous as famous can be, with the whole wide world watching you win on TV, except when they don't, because sometimes they won't. I'm afraid that sometimes you'll play lonely games too, games you can't win because you'll play against you. All alone. Whether you like it or not, alone will be something you'll be quite a lot. And when you're alone, there's a very good chance you'll meet things that scare you right out of your pants. There are some down the road between hither and yon that can scare you so much you won't want to go on. But on you will go, though the weather be foul. On you will go, though your enemies prowl. On you will go, though the hack and cracks howl. Onward up many a frightening creek, though your arms may get sore and your sneakers may leak. On and on you will hike, and I know you'll hike far and face up to your problems, whatever they are. You'll get mixed up, of course, as you already know. You'll get mixed up with many strange birds as you go. So be sure when you step with care and great tact, and remember that life's a great balancing act. Just never forget to be dexterous and deft, and never mix up your right foot with your left. And will you succeed? Yes, you will indeed. 98 3/4% guaranteed. As lawyers, we don't say 100%. Kid, you'll move mountains. So be your name Bucksbaum or Bixby or Bray or Mordecai, Ally, Van Allen O'Shea. You're off to great places. Today is your day. Your mountain is waiting, so get on your way. Now, probably thinking, why'd she read me that book? How are we starting off graduation like this? Well, let's turn to why the story is important for each of you today. Today is a tremendously important day in each of your lives. While you had different paths that led you here to this moment, you all now have one thing in common: these past years at Baylor Law School and the education you have received. Now that you've reached this point, commencement, it's time to think about your path going forward and where it will take all of you. Commencement means a beginning or a start. Today is yet another beginning when you embark on new, challenging, and exciting parts of your lives. Today is the beginning of your journey, the The truly exciting part is that no two of you will take the exact same path. You haven't taken identical paths even here in law school. Some of you chose to complete professional tracks, others didn't. Some chose to focus on litigation, others chose business transactions and estate planning. Some of you competed on mock trial teams or moot court teams, others volunteered at the Veterans Clinic, others on Adoption Day, and some of you did a little of everything. And you have all learned something valuable along the way. But now you are all ready to start the next part, the journey to the places you'll go. It is important to remember what you now take with you on that journey: an excellent legal education, a sense of service to others, integrity, commitment, and a strong work ethic. You are all setting forth on this new beginning with special knowledge and abilities. You can do things that others can't. You can solve complex problems. You can speak on behalf of others and help them be heard. You can and will see to it that the law is followed and justice is served. You will do all this in your own way, and you should never judge your success by anyone else's standards. Let me say it another way. Do not let anyone else define what success means for you as an individual. In the story that I just read, there are ups and downs in the journey, but that is the beauty of it. We all go through times when we end up in the waiting place, or you get scared, or you find times when you just can't win, but that's okay. You must always remember that those times and places in your life, in the journey, will help you to get to the places where you'll succeed, and yes, you will move mountains. You just have to keep going, believing, and trusting in yourself. As I think back to the day we met at orientation, I ended my presentation with a quote from Albert Einstein. Try not to become a man of success, but a man of value. That sentiment is even more important for you to keep in mind today. Success is a troublesome word. How do you define it, and how does it define your journey? If you look up the definition for success, the New American Oxford Dictionary says that success is of Latin origin from the mid-16th century. The various definitions include: 1, the attainment of popularity or profit; 2, the outcome of an undertaking specified as achieving or failing to achieve its aims; or 3, the accomplishment of an aim or purpose. If you go with that first definition, the attainment of popularity or profit, I dare say your journey, your life will be miserable. If that is how you define success, when you get to those places where you aren't winning, where you're waiting, where you are surrounded by your enemies, it's hard to keep going. It will bog you down. It will wear you out. You will feel like a failure, and you might not continue the journey that you were destined for. Not to say that making a good living and being liked and well-respected is a bad thing. It's not at all. We all want financial security and stability, and to have a good personal and professional reputation. But is that all that defines you as a person, as a human being? There are career paths that are not as financially rewarding, but are deeply satisfying on other levels. The lawyer who works with a nonprofit or who works as a legal aid attorney will never be wealthy when measured by dollars, but will be successful nonetheless. Popularity is also not always a good measure of success. What about the lawyer who defends the accused? What about the lawyer who takes on an unpopular client or cause because it's the right thing to do? That lawyer may not be popular in society's standards, but that lawyer is truly successful. Profit and popularity, these are things over which you do not have complete control. By looking to this definition of success, you are allowing others to define your success. But there are 2 other definitions to consider. To me, even the second and third definitions are strikingly different. The second definition is the outcome of an undertaking specified as achieving or failing to achieve its aims. This definition focuses on the outcome of the task and the possibility of failure. Will you win every trial? No. Will you get everything that your client wants in every negotiation? No. Does that mean you haven't achieved success? Certainly not. In those moments that other people will define as failures looking from the outside, you still have success and opportunities for learning and growth. This definition of success allows you to get stuck and distracted when you go through the hard parts of the journey, when you feel alone, where you encounter the ones on the path that scare you so much you won't want to go on. If you have the wrong definition, the wrong focus, you might give up. You might not get to all the places you're supposed to go. You might turn into the people who are just waiting on the phone to ring, or a yes or no, or a better break or another chance. You don't have to wait. You can make those things happen if you have the right focus. I want you all to focus on the last definition of success, the accomplishment of an aim or purpose. This definition puts you in control of your success. What is your aim or purpose? Not popularity, not profit, and not even a particular outcome, but your aim or purpose in life. You define it, you make it happen. This is important because you don't all have the same goals and desires, and you shouldn't. You are all unique individuals. Don't let anyone else in the driver's seat to make the decision of what success means for you. You'll find the bright places where boom bands are playing, with banner flip-flapping, once more you'll ride high. Ready for anything under the sky, ready because you're that kind of guy. I say all of this to you having learned from experience. I don't have all this gray hair that I cover up for nothing. I have the gray hair and the lines and the wrinkles on my face because they show where I've been, the places I've gone, the journey I've taken. And that journey started at the same place with the same preparation. And that journey really took me to a place, this place, where I've had the great joy of being with all of you. That would not have happened if I had stopped in the waiting place, wondering if this was the right moment, or if I should wait a little longer to get to the perfect time, or if I had allowed the weather that was foul, or the enemies on the prowl, or the frightening creek to stop the journey. There were plenty of doubts, questions, and fears along the way. I had to trust and believe and define for me what it means to succeed. And will you succeed? Yes, you will indeed. 98 3/4% guaranteed. Kids, you'll move mountains. So be your name Lewis, or Burbank, or Metcher, or Dykeman, or Dennis, or Jackson Huffstetler. You're off to great places. Today is your day. Your mountain is waiting, so get on your way. Congratulations to you all.
Thank you, Professor Fusilier. Class, everyone gathered to hold her words close in a culture and a society in which we often embrace false values. Professor Fusilier's words land. The time has come for the conferral of the degrees upon our graduating class. Class, please stand. Each of you has completed the degrees required, the work required for the degree of Juris Doctor as prescribed by Baylor University and the Baylor University Board of Regents. Accordingly, upon the certification of the law faculty and on behalf of the Baylor University Board of Regents and President Linda A. Livingstone, it's my pleasure and delight now to confer upon you the degree of Juris Doctor. We will now go forth to the award of the diplomas and the hooding of each of our graduates. Family and friends and loved ones, we have a long tradition at Baylor Law School at our commencement ceremonies. When the name of your graduate is called, we invite you to create as much noise as you possibly can. We know that you may be deterred by the fact that we are in a beautiful sanctuary, a house of God. Don't let that stop you. We will, to be sure, measure the depth of your love for your graduate by the decibels that you can produce.
excuse us for just a moment. This is a new venue for us, and we are trying to make sure we are not putting our graduates in your line of sight, so we're trying to get this settled. So rest of you can sit down. And Jerry will come get you row by row as we need to. Okay. Christopher Pryor Allison, cum laude. Michael Christopher Applewhite. Christopher James Arnell is receiving a special distinction in litigation as described in your program. Timothy Ted Clifton Barham. Savannah Lee Barlow, magna cum laude. Shannon Ashbrook Bond, magna cum laude. Anthony Wayne Brown. Stephen Lawrence Burbank, summa cum laude. Alexandra Ashley Burke, magna cum laude. Jeffrey Reed Burley. The next graduate has also received a special distinction in litigation. Cameron Reed Cano, cum laude. Jamie Rebecca Carlisle. Myra Fabiello Carrera Ibarro. Jason Randall Cobb. David Patrick Coles, cum laude. Stephanie Elizabeth Cook, cum laude. Hamill Michael Capero III. Kristen Lynn Danhouse Terry. Kyle James Dennis. Blaine Miller Donnell, cum laude. Ty Allen Drury. Amanda Claire Dykeman. The next graduate is receiving a special distinction in litigation, Marcus Lamont Pfeiffer. Taylor Conrad Fisher. Jacob Edward Fisher. Haley Rebecca Glisson. Will Galix Greenlee. Christopher Hardin Griffin. Cassandra Nicole Henson. Kate Elizabeth Harrison, cum laude. Our next graduate is a dual degree student. He will be receiving a Master's of Business Administration degree in addition to the JD. Niels Christian Hazen. Preston Arrington Hino. The next row, if y'all will stand and follow out, please. Okay. Matthew Ryan Inahosa. Jackson Miles Hufstetler. Ellen Ingrid Eisenhower, summa cum laude. Andrea Helena Hararo. Our next graduate has earned a special distinction in litigation, Jordan Elizabeth Jaro. Brooke Elizabeth Jones. Bradley Curtis Katata. Rachel Nicole Kane, highest ranking student in the graduation class, summa cum laude. Mark Taylor Levesque, magna cum laude. Samantha Carolyn Lewis. The next graduate is receiving a special distinction in litigation, Lauren Tiffany Livingston. Nicole Elizabeth Manley, magna cum laude. Macy Lane Matthews, cum laude. Donnie Marihari Mirzari. Try again. Donnie Mazahari Mirzawi. Closer. Cum laude. Tara Glazner McAfee. Our next graduate is a dual degree student. In addition to the Juris Doctor, he will be receiving the Master's of Business Administration. Brad Benjamin Mead. Kurt Dietrich Mechcher. Donald Dean Moore III. Alexander Cameron Morris, magna cum laude. Maria Pena. Stephanie Lynn Preston, magna cum laude. Julia Morgan Pullen. Kaylee Elizabeth Ragsdale, cum laude. John Keegan Riley. Ryan George Rittenauer. Sarah Elizabeth Ryburn. Jody Jessica Saylor. Cody Tyler Scruggs. Megan Elizabeth Servage. Mark David Seamer. Kyle Colin Steingraber magna cum laude. Chloe Ann Stevens. The next graduate is receiving a special distinction in litigation, Bailey Elizabeth Strawmeyer. The next graduate is being recognized as both a Public Interest Fellow and a Leadership Development Fellow, Catherine Elizabeth Thompson. Caroline Tai Loon Tom. Ward Carol Weber. Molly Elizabeth Wilson. Brian Allen Wolfskill, cum laude. Our next graduate is being recognized as a Public Interest Fellow, Amelia Grace Wood, cum laude. Hema Zuniga.
Hey, gang, you did a good job with the decibels. And now it's time for all of you to join together to make that noise as we congratulate our new class of 2018. You did do well, families, attaway. Oh, wonderful day of celebration and memory that we noted at the outset. Each of these graduates will now be going forth to serve as Baylor lawyers. That's the best type of lawyer, the most servant-driven type of lawyer that we have in our nation. You're going to make us proud just as you have made us proud in your walk to this point. Remember, you're here to serve. Remember the vertical and horizontal dimensions of life each day, and remember true values, not false values, as Bridget Fusilier, Professor Fusilier shared with you. We will have a reception at the Sheila and Walter Humphrey Law Center. It is a reception that will be held not only on the outside patio, but we also have a tent on the yard alongside the Brazos River. And we invite you, of course, to join and to celebrate with us. The doors of the Law Center will be open, so your graduate can take you about and show you where they have done the blood, sweat, and tears tour over the past 3 years. We will now adjourn and recess. If you could allow the stage party to go first, class, you'll follow in right behind us, and if you could all remain seated, because we are going to recess, but then come back in a moment for the class picture. And you can, of course, take photos along with the professional photos that will be taken of the class gathered. And with that, God bless. Thank you for being here.